Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by with Season 1 Reloaded, per usual, with a mid-season update. We got a new meta update within Warzone, a bunch of weapon buffs and nerfs and various different changes, except this meta update in specific, quite frankly, doesn't make any sense. We've had several different discussions with the developers, both in terms of creator calls that I've been a part of in the past, but then also them publicly talking about their designs and intentions for the meta. And this newest update kind of goes against what they've said they wanted to do with the Warzone meta this year with MW3. So as we get into the details today, if you guys enjoy the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. It does always help the channel grow. And if you're new here or you simply have not subscribed yet, every single day, I'm your one-stop shop for news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all right here. So if you want to stay up to date, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. So we're here on the patch notes page for Season 1 Reloaded. And I kind of want to go through their various different descriptions and changes here and talk about, you know, like I said, why it just kind of doesn't make sense as to what these changes are doing here. So initially, something you'll notice right away is that their first paragraph mentions, hey, we've got additional changes to the MTZ Interceptor and the Swarm coming soon, but there aren't any changes for those two guns in this update. That in and of itself probably should have been the red flag for this meta update, because since the launch of Warzone 3, the most broken gun has been the MTZ Interceptor. And of course, last week we got a slight little meta update that said, hey, we are nerfing the Interceptor today, but we've got more changes coming next week with Season 1 Reloaded. And that nerf to the Interceptor last week, as we know, didn't do jack. It had no real impact on gameplay. It was an extra bullet to kill in some gunfights, but not for most. So the Interceptor's still been dominating. So we're like, okay, Season 1 Reloaded, finally, the Interceptor is going to go away. We're going to have a more balanced long-range meta. No. Just no. I mean, the fact that there was no Interceptor nerf here has me scratching my head. And then close range, by far the most dominant SMG, probably the most popular weapon category, is the Wasp Swarm. And they're also going to be adjusting its medium to long range viability. But that's not really where the Wasp Swarm is meant to be used the most. It's clearly a close range dominant weapon, 0 to 10 meters with its recoil control and whatnot. So I don't understand the nerfs to the mid to long range when it's clearly outpacing the other SMGs just close range drastically. You know, the mid range, other guns can hang with this thing. So those both don't make any sense to me, just straight up. Now, we get into some of the actual specific updates here, and sure, a Holger buff, that's cool. M13B getting a nerf. This is what the devs told us in a call earlier on this year. Throughout the year, they want to have the most viable open meta possible, meaning you could use a variety of different guns, from rifles to LMGs to shotguns to SMGs, from MW3 and from MW2. Emphasis on MW2 guns being viable, because a repeated situation every single integration is, hey, all the new games guns are great and all the old games guns suck. Buy our new game, spend money on the new game, level up those guns, get our retention numbers up for multiplayer. Oh, the old game guns? Yeah, they're all right. You could use them still, but they made an emphasis. They said, hey, we want MW2 guns to have lower visual recoil, to be more on par with MW3 guns. Currently, the two most standout-ish weapons from MW2 are the M13B, which actually caught nerfs here, so it's going to be a lesser rifle now. There's going to be other choices, and definitely not MW2 choices that exceed what the M13B was putting out for rifles. So one of the two great MW2 options, M13B, nerfed. Another one of the great MW2 options, ISO 9mm. The only SMG that could compete with the Swarm, nerfed. So we've now made this more of a monopoly in terms of MW3 guns, for one, being the clear and obvious meta, which I get. It's a business tactic. It's not a surprise. It can still be annoying though, and it is. And then two, the lack of changes to the Swarm now means that you've just nerfed its closest competition. Why do we have any reason to use anything but the Swarm now for the next couple of who knows how long until this update's pushed out and we have the changes to the Interceptor and the Swarm? Now, that could happen later today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen in a week. We just don't know. They said coming in the near future. So that in and of itself, again, like I said, has me scratching my head, a little confused as to why those things are going the way they are. MCW buff is solid there. Battle rifles, surprised we didn't see any changes to the Bass B, considering it's still a better sniper support than basically everything in the game. And without any changes to, you know, the long range meta there, it's still going to be a dominant option there as well, outgunning a lot of the other rifles, basically every rifle over range by a significant amount. Now the LMGs, This is a tricky one because overall, what they've done here is great because pre-Season 1 Reloaded, the meta outside of the Interceptor, obviously, was the Bruin and the Pulemiot with the conversion kit and the Eradicator. DG was good too, super low recoil, underrated gun, but not many people were using that as opposed to the Pulemiot and the Eradicator, right? These nerfs are all great. This balances the long range meta a decent amount, and what this update does here, specifically to the light machine guns, makes it so that you can use these options still. They are going to be viable with the current long range TTK, and it also introduces a lot of assault rifles into the mix as well. Things like the SVA, the Ram, the Holger, other decent rifles now are going to have a much better chance at competing. Before this update, you match up a rifle against any of these LMGs, they're not going to hang. They just are going to get outgunned by these 4 options constantly. So these nerfs are important here. This opens up the long range meta, except again, you changed this without adjusting the interceptors. So now these were the only things that could compete with the interceptor over range. Now we're in a situation where, hey, the only competition to the interceptor is worse now, and the interceptor is left being the only thing standing that's good for long range gunfights. If you are using an interceptor right now, there is no competition because these nerfs needed to be really happening with an interceptor nerf alongside it. So that is just a super unfortunate scenario that we're now in. Now for SMGs overall, outside of the ISO nerf, this I'm pretty, on board with. The AMR9 was by far the worst option. So it being better now could actually make it decent and make it worth using. Rival 9 updates are cool. Striker updates are cool. Again, though, I wish we saw more updates to MW2 subs to let those be a little bit more viable here. And then this is another one I don't get. Directly quoting what Call of Duty and Raven and whatnot told us before, they want a healthy sniper meta this year. And so when the game dropped and we found out there's only one sniper, the Cat AMR, that can one-shot without needing explosive ammo and to kill the velocity, I was floored. I was baffled because they said, we want a healthy sniper meta. There's only one real true sniper. If you want a one-shot with an Intervention or the Imperium, whatever it's called, or the MCPR or the Victus, you have to use a trash build that has no velocity, and it just is not fun. It creates a situation where there is no sniper meta. And now they've gone through and made the one true one-shot sniper worse. They've nerfed the meta barrel for it with the velocity there. The range doesn't matter, but they nerfed the velocity on that. And then the Spire Point rounds, you always ran on the meta build as well. They nerfed the velocity on this too. So now the only good one-shot sniper we have is worse than it was before. Now, some players are okay with that because they didn't like the Cat being a one-shot to begin with. But if you want a healthy sniper, as the devs said they did, you can't just have one decent sniper option, and you can't be nerfing the one decent sniper option. We're going to go back into the spot of there's no reason to run a sniper anymore if they're all getting outgunned by an interceptor or different LMGs and rifles, right? So it just creates an awkward scenario where things really aren't all that balanced. So this meta update to me seems premature. Personally, I would have rather seen very minimal changes here in order for them to hold off and do the interceptor nerf and the swarm nerf with this stuff so that it all happens at the same time and doesn't create these temporary imbalances. And then also the things outside of that we directly adjust with the MW2 guns and snipes now being a further prolonged issue that's going to exist in the meta for some time now, maybe until season 2 or maybe beyond. Depends on when they want to actually go through and make these necessary changes to those metas in specific to balance them out more. But interesting and definitely underwhelming in my opinion in terms of these weapon updates. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below, though. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. But that is going to wrap things up. Once again, if you want to guarantee you're always up to date with everything going on in COD, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll catch you later. Peace out.